Now, the WMAL Fisher House Radiothon continues. Please support our wounded warriors and their families by calling in your contribution now. 888-294-8560. That's 888-294-8560.
Yeah, it's our Fisher House Radiothon. This is the official signal that we're in the holiday season. And apparently, I've been chastised for calling Army veterans or active duty Army dog-faced pony soldiers. But that's what President Biden called them, right? But I also referred to people in the Navy as squids.
You did.
So, I mean, the insults go both ways, right?
It's true. You did do that.
Air Force is sitting there like, what about us? What about us? But the Army-Navy game's coming up, and we do like to challenge our whichever allegiance you might have to see, we'll see how it plays out on the field, but let's see how it plays out right now with your donations at 888-294-8560. Who's more generous, Army or Navy? 888-294-8560 to keep the Fisher House Radiothon going. And every dollar you donate right now is matched dollar for dollar by our friends at Leonardo DRS. Incredible generosity from that great organization. They're kicking us off once again with the Leonardo DRS Challenge. Every dollar matched up to $50,000. That's right. The first $50,000 will be doubled by our friends at Leonardo DRS. Speaking of friends, Mary Margaret Olohan is here this morning. It's great to have you here and all the great work you're doing at Daily Signal.
Oh, it's great to be here, Larry.
And coming up in this hour, we're going to have a conversation with, this is a great woman, Debbie Alley. She's an Air Force veteran. Her son, she's got two sons, Air Force pararescue team. And one of her sons was shot in Afghanistan as he was landing, jumping out of an airplane for a special operation. And his story is phenomenal. And how Fisher House was there for this family is just astounding. So I want you to hear that story coming up in this hour. And I want you to please donate whatever you can at 888-294-8560. Mary Margaret, I want to talk about this astounding story, Deadspin. Who even knew Deadspin was still a thing, right? I thought Deadspin was done. Well, they are done after
I know,
this.
You never hear about them anymore, ever.
And the only reason we're talking about Deadspin is because they took this picture of this kid, a little boy. What is he, 9 years old?
He's 9 years old.
Come on. And he's rooting for his team, the Chiefs. And he had his face, but super fans paint their faces, right? They go to the game, and and he painted his face half red, half black to celebrate the Chiefs. He had this beautiful Indian chief headdress on, which, by the way, should have been a clue. When you look at that headdress, it's like, okay, that ain't some cheap thing you just bought at the fan store.
Right.
Turns out his dad is actually a member of a tribe, a Native American tribe in California. Deadspin takes a picture of this kid just showing the black paint on his face, profile, saying, this racist fan for the Chiefs is wearing a headdress and blackface. Well, of course, they didn't show the whole story. He had a half red paint as well. And now he's become this cause celeb, right? He was on Jesse Waters last night.
Yeah, he was. He went on with his dad.
Yeah.
They told Jesse Waters that they're part of the Chumash tribe from California, and they actually used to live on a reservation, which is, of course, so ironic since this Deadspin writer is trying to absolutely destroy this family for sending their kid to this game. And I would like to pause. I have an 11-year-old brother who's obsessed with football. That kid probably was there watching every minute of that game, so excited, all dressed up, and now he's the center of this mayhem online. It's so sad. But he went on Jesse Waters, like you were saying, and what did he tell him? The dad said that they never in any way, shape, or form meant to disrespect any Native Americans or tribes.
Yeah, of course.
And he said the specific headdress his son was wearing is a novelty costume piece. That's exactly what they purchased it for, and it wasn't intended to be worn with any disrespect. And the blackface allegations, he said that's absurd.
Right. Well, and of course, Deadspin is white-splaining to the world or to these people that he shouldn't. Although I don't even know if the writer of the article was white or black, or if it was a black writer too, to sort of project their own sense of racism on this moment and on this little child.
Right.
And here's a little bit of the dad last night on Fox News.
Mad, upset for him. mad that he's upset. He's pretty devastated. I mean, he's seen the videos and everything posted. He's excited. He's all over. It was his dream to get on the Jumbotron. And I've had family and friends call and, oh, we saw you on Sunday Night Football. So he's excited. But then everything else came up, and it's been a little bit of a spiral.
Imagine that. He goes to sleep after going to the game thinking, my gosh, I was on the Jumbotron, I was on TV, this is the greatest day of my life, and you wake up the next morning and you've got idiot journalists calling you a racist.
Yeah, it's so sad. Poor little kid. But, one upside of this is that I see that apparently Chiefs fans are going to wear black and red face paint in support of him at the next game.
I saw that. Is that really a thing going on, or are they trying to get it going? That'd be fantastic.
Who knows? Maybe they're just trying to get it going.
Well, they should now. The fans should do that now.
Yeah, they should. This poor little kid.
But here's what, and I'm excited that he's getting some level of redemption, and I want the family to sue Deadspin, honestly, because
they should.
Deadspin still has the story up. They haven't apologized as far as I know. They haven't retracted it, which is remarkable. I got to say, though, as much as, it seems like there's a real quick redemptive arc here, and social media and right-of-center media did what we do best, which is to push back and expose what these people are doing. You know who hasn't said anything? The NFL.
Oh, that's so true.
Where's the NFL? Where's the Kansas City Chiefs, actually? The Kansas City Chiefs should have this kid, give him comp tickets for the rest of the season. He should become their mascot. They should bring him down on the field. The Chiefs should come out, and the NFL should come out and say, no, this is exactly the kind of spirit we want from our fans.
Right. Well, Larry, I kind of was expecting something like this to happen because keep in mind, I'm no big football fan. I follow Notre Dame and the Patriots lightly because that's what my family supports. But the Chiefs I've been paying a lot of attention to because of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Oh, here we go.
And I knew sooner or later we were going to have some kind of political controversy because it was just too exciting for the media to not have something come up to jump on and try say
You're
it's
right.
politicized.
Yeah, they're making this big cause celeb of Taylor Swift dating one of the Kansas City Chiefs, and she's like, and I do like football. I've had enough of the Taylor Swift thing, okay? Can we just get back to the game?
People have, yeah.
Get back to the game. But you're right. I mean, people have to start writing the thoughtful pieces. We need to address the problematic nature of Taylor Swift's boyfriend's racist team name.
And if you're an entertainment reporter now, you want to know, what does Taylor Swift think about that 9-year-old doing blackface at the Chiefs game? Travis Kelce, too. Everyone's going to ask him. They're going to want to know.
Well, I would like the Kansas City Chiefs to make a public statement. I have not seen it at all. And by the way, the author of the article is an African-American man. His name is Karen Phillips. It's kind of funny that his name is Karen because he's acting a bit of a Karen, right? The male version of the Karen. He did double down on this story on social media. Deadspin has kept it up because he is projecting his own victim mentality onto this child on behalf of Native Americans, saying, oh, this is horrible, this is terrible. And literally the kid is 50% Native American.
Literally. Larry, I kind of hope that these big names stay out of this controversy because we know Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, honestly, are left-leaning. So if they weigh in on this, I have a feeling that we wouldn't like what they're going to say.
Well, that's why I want them to weigh in because I need them to be on the wrong side of this, just so the whole Taylor Swift thing can be over. It's 6:15 WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes first on the fact. Listen, she's not allowed to get the benefits of all this attention without actually having to, speak out when it gets challenging, right?
I mean, Larry, I'm a Swiftie. I don't like her politics, but I'm a Swiftie.
You know what? I don't want to have bad blood with you. See what I did?
You're listening to the WMAL Fisher House Radiothon. Call to donate 888-294-8560.
Retired Army nurse Deet Lindy has donated $2,000 and challenges all nurses out there to donate today. Good for you, and thank you for that generous donation, which is matched dollar for dollar up to $50,000 this morning by Leonardo DRS. That's a donation to Fisher House Foundation. And joining us right now, Mary Margaret, is Dave Coker. He's the president of Fisher House Foundation. Good morning, Dave. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, good morning. And there's only one thing to say. Go Army.
Oh, here we go. See, that's fine. You know what? I want Army to jump out to the lead here with the donation so that Navy can step up as they always do, like they're going to in the football game. Dave, what's this year been like? Last year when we spoke and we were doing our annual Radiothon, you revealed that you were just inches away from breaking ground on the 100th Fisher House. Are you close? What number are we up to now?
Oh, gosh, we've got 96 houses operating. We're working on building 3 more now.
Wow.
And we will break ground on 100 next year.
That's amazing. And it really does. It reflects the fact that Fisher House is needed now more than ever. In fact, I'm guessing that a lot of your efforts right now are focused at VA locations because, we just celebrated. We honored and recognized the 22nd anniversary of 9/11. That's when we had so many people join the military and get into combat in Afghanistan and Iraq. And now those are veterans, 20-year veterans, and they're needing care.
Well, they are. And earlier this year, I had the privilege of reconnecting with Jessica Lynch. And some of us older ones will recognize that name.
Oh, yes.
And gosh, 20 years ago, she was injured, and she was only 19 at the time. I mean, just think about that. And her mom and dad came to Washington, D.C. They were staying at Walter Reed. And we had the privilege of helping them at a time when she was in the heart of recovery. And in talking with her now, she still has physical therapy twice a week in order to maintain her quality of life. So you may get past that acute phase, but so often those who have been impacted by their service are going to need care for the rest of their lives.
Dave, Mary Margaret here. It's so good to speak with you about this. We talk so much these days about the importance of empathy and recognizing other people as humans. Tell us how Fisher House recognizes human dignity in this way.
Oh my gosh. We provide a resource, and the families come together, and the support they have for each other is absolutely magic. And to see the impact on the quality of healthcare. I mean, the military and the VA health systems are 2 of the best in the world. But when you can support the family, make them a part of the healing process, the quality of care just got better. And the highlight of my job is going and visiting the houses. And in every room, we have a journal. And we simply ask them to record their thoughts, to let the people who follow them know what Fisher House meant and how it helped. And when you look through those journals and hear the stories, so often people were coming for an appointment, and they had no idea that it was going to turn into a stay of several weeks or months because something was found and they needed to take care of it. And to have the support and to be able to share the burdens with others going through similar things, it just gives your life stability and makes you stronger for the challenges that face the day.
Well, and Dave, you talk about human dignity. I mean, before Zachary Fisher, 28 years ago, 30 years ago, founded. What year was it that the first Fisher House was built?
Well, he started building the first 2 houses back in 1990.
Oh, all right.
And one was for Walter Reed. The other was for Bethesda, the National Naval Medical Center at the time.
Now, before that, go ahead.
Well, that's when the first Army-Navy competition started, actually.
But before that, Mary Margaret mentions human dignity. Before that, these family members, these wives, they would sometimes sleep in their car in a parking lot, or they would get, a cheap motel because they don't pay a lot in the military. Let's face it. And in interviewing so many of these families, one thing that they kept saying is they were happy that the Fisher House was safe. It's like, safe? Because a lot of times you were in an unsafe environment. It was in an unsafe neighborhood that mom has to walk around when you get back after visiting her son. And I mean, there's nothing dignified about that when you're going through a really rough time in your life.
So often it's the unknown that troubles you most, and not knowing where your family is, and to be able to know that they're in a safe place and that there's no cost, so it's not impacting. I mean, before there was a Fisher House, you get that call, you want the best medical care and you want to be there, and you're going to do whatever you can. So people would go into debt, and they'd go into debt for years, and they'd spend their life savings. I remember meeting one gentleman from Houston, and he had been diagnosed with cancer, and he was going to just accept what time he had left because he couldn't afford to come to the big city for health care. And because he couldn't bring his wife, and he wasn't going to come without her. And then he learned there was a Fisher House, and he could come, and there'd be no charge. The day I met him, he had just been to see the doctor, told he was in remission, and they could go home. And so sometimes having a Fisher House makes the difference in whether or not you receive care.
Amazing story and amazing work that you're doing, Dave Coker, and your entire amazing team. I mean, I've known you a while now. You don't do a whole lot over there, honestly. You just assembled a great team of people who do all the hard work. So congratulations on that and being able to have such a great job as president of Fisher House Foundation. I'm sorry, I had to dig the Ermy thing there. I'm sorry.
Always
I'm still
a privilege. And if the nurses are giving, that only means the doctors are soon to follow.
Yeah, they're still sleeping. So, Thank you, Dave. Good to talk with you.
Take care.
888-294-8560. This is what respecting and honoring life is all about. You just heard that story. Military veteran who was just ready to let cancer have its way rather than be away from his wife. And then because Fisher House was there and he knew his wife would have a great place to stay, then he got his treatment, he's in remission, and he's living a happy life. That's what Fisher House does. 888-294-8560. Every dollar is matched by Leonardo DRS. Thank God for it. Holy Moses, we've got a new total here at 6:30. $25,565.40. Thanks for those 40 cents, by the way. Amazing. You guys are phenomenal. Let's keep this momentum going because every dollar is matched by Leonardo DRS. Give us a call, 888-294-8560. It's 6:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington. Supporting our wounded warriors and their families. The Fisher House Radiothon continues on WMAL, a Cumulus station. News. Now, the WMAL Fisher House Radiothon continues. Please support our wounded warriors and their families by calling in your contribution now. 888-294-8560. That's 888-294-8560.
And if you missed it, our total right now already, just 90 minutes into the annual Fisher House Radiothon here on WMAL, we're at $25,565.40, and that is doubled thanks to our good friends at Leonardo DRS. Every dollar you donate right now will be doubled up to $50,000 this morning. So please make that donation to help Fisher House continue to do the great work they do for the men and women of our military, their spouses, their children, their families. Fisher House is there when they need it most because, well, our service members are there when we need it most, and that's every day. Mary Ann from Alexandria, $1,000 donation. Thank you, Mary Ann. David in Fredericksburg, another $1,000 from David. And get this, Mary Margaret Olohan, Ken and Kathy in Springfield, Virginia, they donated $1,059.
Wow.
1059. That's our signal, 105.9 FM. That's a great way to do it. Thank you for that, Ken and Kathy. On behalf of everyone here at WMAL, thanks for being part of our family. Mary Margaret Olohan, good morning. Good to have you here all day.
Good morning, Larry.
Right before we went to sleep last night, we learned of the passing of an absolute legend, an iconic figure in American politics, really world diplomacy. Henry Kissinger passed away at the age of 100, and not only did he win the Nobel Peace Prize for his successful negotiation for the end of the Vietnam conflict, he was a Secretary of State, he was a National Security Advisor, but really his principles, his values, his worldview formed at a young age when he and his family fled Nazi Germany to come to the United States of America. Imagine that, fleeing what was the fascist rise of the Third Reich, which would have resulted in his extermination in the Holocaust. And instead he ends up being in the spheres of the highest levels of power on the world stage, part of Nixon and Ford's cabinets, incredibly influential figure.
Absolutely. You can see God's plan working through that flight from Germany to America. This Jewish family, very impressive.
Yeah.
And he became an American citizen in 1943, right? That was not too long after he got here.
Yep, and he served in the Army during World War II and was awarded the Bronze Star.
Wow.
During his time in the Army. And then he took that great GI loan and did pretty well for himself education-wise, going to Harvard. I mean, that was Harvard back in the day when Harvard meant something. Now we're a little worried about Harvard.
Yeah, before they became Hamas.
Yeah, think about that. Henry Kissinger on the campus of Harvard today would be harassed by the pro-terrorists.
Right, Hamas apologist over there.
Yeah. But an incredible legacy, and so influential. In fact, later in the program, we're going to speak with KT McFarland at 8:35, who Henry Kissinger was her mentor. So many people who worked in the Kissinger State Department, national security apparatus there at the White House were influenced by this man and his worldview, bringing us right to today. There are people who are working in those spheres now who owe their career and their approach to diplomacy and national security to Henry Kissinger.
Oh.
It's really phenomenal to think of, only in America can that sort of thing happen. You flee the Holocaust, you come to America, and then within 20 years, you're sitting in the Oval Office with the President of the United States, And of course, you're going to see the mainstream media try to slander Henry Kissinger. They're going to, blame him for the Vietnam War and for deaths in Vietnam. Of course, Henry Kissinger inherited the Vietnam War. President Nixon inherited the Vietnam War from John Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson. If anything, Henry Kissinger did whatever he could to end that war and literally won the Nobel Peace Prize for it. But the rewriting of history by historians, by the media, they'll say, he was accused of being a war criminal. He was accused of being a war criminal by the hippies who were protesting in the streets at the time just because, you know how educated they are. But it's sad. It's sad to actually see this happen. But you'll see it all day long today, the equivocation over Henry Kissinger's real legacy.
It's always sad to me, Larry, when a monumental figure passes away and the first thing we do is jump to slander them or if our first reaction to death is to jump on it and make it about ourselves or how we can improve our standing with the world, that's sad.
Yeah. Well, here's the Washington Post. Are you ready? This is their first posting at the X.com social media platform. Breaking news. Henry Kissinger dies at 100. The diplomat exercised an unparalleled control over U.S. international affairs and policymaking. He was also the target of relentless critics who deemed him unprincipled and amoral. That's how they described the passing of Henry Kissinger.
I guess it's better than how they described the passing of, who was it? The renowned scholar.
Yeah, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. I actually have that. An actual terrorist who is responsible for the slaughter of hundreds, if not thousands. Al-Baghdadi was described as an austere religious scholar at the helm of Islamic State, dies at 48. He was literally the leader of ISIS. And he got more credit and more praise from the Washington Post than Henry Kissinger.
We must praise the terrorists at all times.
At all times. Well, like I said, KT McFarland will actually contextualize and bring perspective and probably some personal, intimate reflections on her relationship with Henry Kissinger going all the way back to the Nixon presidency and throughout the end of the 20th century. Henry Kissinger passing away last night at the age of 100. We got a big game coming up, and we got a show right now. I say we. I mean, my daughter went to the Naval Academy, so does that count?
I think it counts.
Thank you, Mary Margaret.
My uncle went there.
Well, let's set aside the Army-Navy stuff because we've got Air Force coming up in 1 hour. We're going to speak with August O'Neill and hear his incredible story in the Air Force as a pararescuer well, you know what? We'll get to August in an hour with his story. Let's talk to his commander-in-chief, Debbie Alley, the mother of August O'Neill, who can tell her side of the story and how Fisher House was there for her. And you're an Air Force veteran as well, so thank you for your service, Debbie. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
So your son, a pararescue. In fact, you have two sons who are in Air Force pararescue. And one day in Afghanistan, your son, August, well, the worst possible thing happened, didn't it?
Well, it could have been worse, actually. Thank God it wasn't.
I guess
so,
that's
yes,
true.
He was shot. Yes, sir.
So what happened? He got he got shot in the leg,
sorry, yes.
right?
He got shot through both legs. They were going in to rescue 3 Marines that were down. He was shot through both legs. The left leg being the worst, went in and obliterated pretty much his knee. And they tried for 20 surgeries to save it. And after the 20th one, he told them he elected to have it removed. And so he did, and it gave him his life back. And we're so thankful and grateful for that. And he's so mean and tough that he's still on pararescue.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing. Debbie, I was saying to Larry before you came on that you must be a pretty awesome woman to have raised 2 sons that would go into the military and be that brave.
Yes, ma'am. I was the meanest mother in America. So I'm proud of that.
It sounds like it. So tell us, Debbie, how has Fisher House helped you and your family?
I'd love to tell you that. Well, it's helped me. I didn't know till a little while ago that my oldest son, when he was called to Germany after August got shot, that he had stayed in a Fisher House in Germany. I didn't know that till about a year ago. But when August was brought back to the United States, our family went down to Texas, and we stayed at the Fisher House, and it was amazing. Everything was basically provided. You were surrounded with people who were going through this, who would lead you. And I don't know. I didn't know anything like that existed. I constantly am sharing this with people, and I if I can just say one thing, I just noticed that they are building earlier this morning that they are scheduled to build in San Juan, Puerto Rico, Fisher House. And when I was with August at a Warrior Game event, that Fisher House sponsors those events.
Yeah.
Financially backs those and the Invictus Games. I met a Special Forces gentleman that had been injured. He had to stay in the United States to get help through the VA for his medical problems. Both of his parents were doctors in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So it is huge that Fisher House is putting a Fisher House in San Juan. And I know that's a little off topic for my son, but it's very important for people who have family there to know that.
No, well, anytime you can gush, anytime you can gush about Fisher House, it's right on topic, Debbie, and it's always great to talk. Great talking with you again. We're going to talk to August in about an hour, and he'll tell the story from his perspective. But I'm so grateful to you and your family, an incredible legacy of service to our nation, and thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Larry. Also, it's this time of year where people, suicide is at a high thing, and our veterans really need to reach out to other veterans, and Fisher House helps with things like that as well. So thank you.
Amen. Thank you for reminding us of that, too. Please keep them in your hearts. 888-294-8560. Literally any dollar amount that you can donate goes so far to keep Fisher House doing what they're doing for families like Debbie's and her incredible sons. 888-294-8560.
Making sense of your world.